Son of a Megan.
It's not as good.
Megan.
That's not as good.
Actually, that does not work because I do not have a son.
God dang it. Dang it all. So what do you think of that National Geographic thing?
That is
asking me?
I'm asking both of you.
I
It's
just
good,
think-
right? Augmented reality. That's the
No, that
future of
was very
advertising.
cool.
Okay, so that's the the company is App Shaker, and they're from land far away. Where are they from? I don't know. Where are they from? Who are they? Contact. I want to contact them. It's App Shaker. I think the UK. They're UK. They say they are not an agency.
I like Microsoft's idea here where instead of really inventing great products, you just envision them and make big commercials about that.
Did you see that?
Smart.
Crazy. Totally.
Saves you all the time and effort of actually creating the product.
Exactly. That's the best.
I want a company like that.
I gotta say, that is so much cooler. I'm back on the augmented reality National Geographic.
Yeah.
That is so much cooler than what is bugging me to no end these days, which is when I am in a masochistic mood and decide I need to go to Target and I walk down an aisle and things start talking at me from the toy aisle. I seriously and literally want to punch them because in years past there have been maybe
where's your inner child at?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd like to know where
no.
your inner child is at.
Yeah.
I'm happy to play with toys. I hate it when things start talking at me. Ugh,
You're
I
kind of
cannot.
You're going to be an angry old woman.
I know. That's
I
just
already am an angry old woman.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I
That's pure
cannot
puppiness.
stand that. And you know what else? I mean, this is not exclusive to Target. I was in Fred Meyer going to Redbox, which is where we often rent movies. And next to the Redbox does not talk to me, but next to the movie,
Wait, now, see, I don't use the Red. That's the vending machine outside
Yeah,
of
I know.
McDonald's.
Don't use it, Pete?
No, I don't.
and Fred Meyer and yeah, it's everywhere.
You use Netflix.
I know, cause he's
I'm on Netflix.
movie elitist.
Please.
So let's just
Whatever.
call him that.
Please.
Can I get back to my story? So the other thing that bugs me is that next to the Redbox, there is a make your own key machine, and that talks at me too. And I hate that. Come on.
Make your
If
own.
I want you to talk, I'll push a button. Don't just talk at me. That is my...
What does it say? What do these things say to you?
Come
Do they
make a
know you?
key.
So
Whatever
it's not like they
says.
know you yet. Like that's coming,
yet,
right?
yeah,
When they
that's-
say, "Hi, Megan."
Okay, when that comes,
Hey.
I will become a hermit.
Hey, Megan.
You know what bothers me
Do you
more
wanna-
than...
Do you want to make
Oh,
a key?
go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Megan. Do you want
Pete,
to make a key?
Unless it's a hot guy offering me something more than a key, I'm not responding.
Wow.
Megan, take the
Look at her.
key. Take my key.
Exactly.
Very
If
amorous.
it's a hot guy saying, take my key.
It's a very amorous statement. You know who I don't like talking to me?
Anybody?
This goes way beyond, some
The voices in
Talking
your head.
No, wait. Your wife.
the kiosk people at the mall these days. They're like barkers
Oh, yeah.
now. I mean, that's become like walking through a, state fair carnival or whatever, where they want you to throw out their milk bottles. Hey, have you tried this? And they've got crazy things like, wristbands that supposedly increase your balance and stuff.
Well,
those guys
totally
have
works.
gone
It's
from
magnets.
being very
It's all about
passive-
magnets.
Right, whatever. Those guys have gone from being really just sort of passive, like, I don't know, minimum wage, like teenage girls with their headphones on, waiting for you to approach them. And I don't know what happened.
well,
at some
because
point.
no,
But I went
because-
to the mall this weekend because we just got a new H&M, and so it was a big mall event, and an Apple store. And those guys are really annoying. I'd rather have a key machine.
They're
say,
also
"Would you
like
like to make a
16
key?"
years old.
Well, those are. So you're talking about
Oh,
the
well,
people.
that's
They like
worse.
have the
So,
invisible
I said-
shield people. They've got the.
That's right.
They
Yep,
sell
yep.
beads. They sell sunglasses. Lots of sunglasses.
Tea, sunglasses, yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite, the fake
Sweatshirts.
smoke, the fake cigarettes. What is the point of that?
What is that? Like candy? Are they candy?
No, I don't even know what they are, but it's like a plastic thing that you can smoke, and smoke comes out of it.
I want to talk more about this augmented reality thing. Is that good? Like, what did you? So this is the National Geographic because this is the future of advertising. Is
it?
augmented reality? So you're walking by a big screen and you look. It looks like a mirror because you just see yourself in it, right? And then suddenly you're walking next to 3 wee dinosaurs. But then you look around because you're thinking, "Whoa, I don't see
You know what?
3D
Augmented
dinosaurs.
reality sounds cool to me, but I have been waiting my whole life, since 12, I guess, or since the first Star Wars. I don't know. I've been waiting my whole life since then for holographic advertising. Holographs. I want holographs. Why can't they make that reality?
Isn't that that's the Minority Report thing, right? Where that's a combination of what you're both saying. So you're walking down and you see your, American Eagle Outfitters, and a hologram walks out to you and says, "Hey,
I called it a hologram.
Hey, Megan, how are those jeans fitting you that you bought last year? Right? How are you liking them jeans?" And it's this hunky, shirtless holographic model. who's like looking you up and down saying, "Hey, you need some more of those jeans," because they know what you bought. That's where it all comes together, right?
That's scary. That just gets scary to me.
That scares me a lot. I think I'm going to move to some backwoods Montana farm if that happens.
I think you've got plenty of connections, Dane. I think you could do that.
Or Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Mexico. You could go to Mexico with your people there. Your people.
Oh, your people.
I'm glad you found that humorous. You're so funny.
I do find it humorous.
So what else are we talking about today, boys? What you got?
I had that. That's what I brought to the table. I also brought, I wanted to hear Dane. I'm going to put you on the spot again because my analytics changed. They did the thing where they're early, release often. That's Google's new thing. Release early, release often. Wow. And now they've changed analytics, and now my default is the whole new analytics engine.
You can change it back.
Well, I know you can, but I want to walk through why I should care about this.
You did put me on the spot, because hold on.
Oh, crying out loud.
You put
Sounds
me on
like
the spot.
Megan is more prepared than you.
Seriously. Well, this has been out for a while.
That's a bad
well, I know
day.
you've had the choice, right? But I have not used it because there have been gaping holes in it, right? Like things that just don't work. And now apparently all those things are fixed, and it's really fancy. What do you like about it, Megan?
This is one of those things. Well, here's what happened, Peter. I was playing around in it because I thought, okay, I should figure out how to use this. And it's not, impossible to use. And then I got on the phone with the client and I said, okay, let me default back to the old version because I don't know where that is now. So, so now I have it in the old version, and I just feel like I need somebody like Peter to walk me through what is different, because this is what Peter does best. He would actually sit down and figure it all out, or I don't know what you do, watch some sort of tutorial, get somebody from Google Analytics to come sit next to you or something and figure it all out and then tell me, because that is what I do best. I absorb information from Peter.
See, well, then I put myself on the spot.
Well, I've been avoiding the new version, apparently.
Well, and there's also a new version, right, of AdWords, right? I mean, didn't they? Everything is new.
Yeah,
everything's new.
I don't like it, but I've learned to live with it. I really, I mean, it looks a little prettier than the other one, but I've not found it more useful at all. And I used to use the older version of AdWords reports. I don't know. I liked it better, and I'm not even able to access the older version now. So
yeah,
I have not warmed up to the new. It's not the user interface. It's not anything about like working within AdWords and working with your campaigns. It's about the reports, basically the homepage and how that plays out. That I'm
like the dashboard, right? You're talking about the dashboard.
I always just skip right over the dashboard, which I know I shouldn't. So,
well, you can configure the dashboard to actually be useful.
That involves configuring, right? I know. No, I know, and
you're
that's
not
what
into
I need to do.
Useful. You're just into sizzle.
It's my problem is that I get panicky and I get short on time. So I feel like I don't have time to mess around with creating a new dashboard because I don't have time to play with it. So, and I realize this would save me time in the long run, but this is how I've been operating. So this is why I need you to tell me how to do it.
Well, it's interesting. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking a lot more about this right now. Because I've been playing with other analytics tools. And so have you heard of this, reinvigorate.net?
Mm-mm.
It's way too early for me to even be able to talk sort of substantively about it. It's a Paid service. I think it's a Web Trends brand. Like it's a new, it's Web Trends trying to get into, real-time traffic, and to do it
Web Trends is awesome
in a very new fancy way, because Web Trends, I think their problem with Web Trends has been really sort of brand approachability, right? If you're a huge company, you probably have web trends and you're loving it because it gives you all sorts of crazy detail and it looks really engineering kind of. It looks like if somebody walks up to your desk and you have web trends open, it makes you look smart.
That's true.
Right. And that you may not be smart, but it makes you appear, it makes you appear smart. And
I wonder how Reinvigorate is different from ClickTail. Do you know? I like heat map. I like heat maps, quite a bit, but
yeah.
ClickTail does a lot of that, and I think does it well. I wonder how this is different.
Well, Reinvigorate, it definitely, I'm not sure if you are that same person in an office and you have Reinvigorate open, if you'd actually look dumb, but it gives you some interesting stuff, and it's a paid product. It's like $10 a month for 3 domains. Gives you,
it's how much a month?
$10 a month for 3 domains.
Well, that's one difference. That's cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper. And that I think is, they're hitting the sort of low end of the social and the reports are good. I mean, so far I'm liking the reports that I get. I like the layout. It's pretty usable, but I don't have enough. I just turned it on yesterday and I feel like I don't have enough data in the system yet to actually be able to see if it's useful. Because so far, I'm looking at, the traffic summaries, right? Monthly, daily, weekly, the bounce rates, the entry and exit pages, that stuff is good. I like that, but I can get that elsewhere. And I feel like I can get that, through Google's analytics tool. And I also get Webmaster Tools integrated with Google Analytics. And I get the fact that it's in Google's system. And that's, there's a certain benefit to that, I feel. And I may be completely off.
Well, no. And the thing with Google Analytics is you can get really good at being, it's sort of milking everything out of it that you can, but it purposefully isn't a truly full-featured analytics tool.
What is it missing? If it's not full-featured, what is it missing?
Yeah, no, if you were to go, and I would say this is my opinion, if you were to go from that, obviously analytics is free, right? And part, I think, of milking it to its fullest is using the Webmaster tool that Google provides so that you sort of marry the two of them. But it still is kind of top-level data, and it's, for most people, I think it's just fine, honestly. And you know what you get out of it. I mean, you can get the geographic data and the page visits and the exits and the bounces and you can create funnels and you can squeeze more out of it than you used to be able to, but it's not full featured. And I would say at the very top end, you have Site Catalyst from Omniture, which is now Adobe. You don't have to go all the way to that because you can sort of piece together things like, this Reinvigorate looks like, an option or, and you can get heat maps now, by the way, out of, Google Analytics, but they're not awesome.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But that seems to be the newer bit, right? I mean, you've had heat maps from analytics for a while, but the real time is brand new, right?
Well, the other thing though that you don't get, I would say the one feature that I always, I think takes everything a whole step beyond, Google Analytics that a lot of sites would love to have is, form analytics. So the ability to see when people come to your forms, how far do they get in the form or which form field are they dropping out on?
Who has that one again?
Well, ClickTail has it. Site Catalyst has it.
And you can't munge that together with Google Analytics?
No, that's the thing. I mean, if you have a big website from Google Analytics, you can determine how people got to your site and which pages they went to, but your detail within the page is limited. So some of these other analytics tools allow you to see, for instance, the scrolling data. So if it's a really long page, what percentage of people get to the bottom? I mean, that's just whatever. I mean, and you can always kind of guess at that anyways. I mean, it sort of plays out pretty universally, but there's a lot of other on-page data. Again, you have a heat map and you have the ability with analytics to get some sort of like percentage click. But one of the things that happens with Google Analytics is if, let's say 5 separate hyperlinks on the page all link to the exact same page, you're going to get the exact same percentage on each of those 5, and you're not going to know which of them really got clicked on the most. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the one of those 5 that's highest up on the page got all of the clicks, but the others are going to have the same percentage clicks attributed to them. So if the number's 12%, it's going to be 12% on all 5. So it's not totally detailed in terms of how a particular page performs. And the page performance that most people are interested in is both the home page and wherever their form is. So whatever the sales or fulfillment page is, and analytics can't really help you there. There's some things you can do when you get really advanced with it, which I don't think I am at all. But a product like, again, Site Catalyst or ClickTail, you can really start to analyze a form page, so that if you've got, you need your name and the address, and you've got your required fields and your additional fields and your comments. Those are things that really do need to be analyzed. And particularly if you're a large, e-commerce site where all of your transactions are occurring online, and you really need to know, is there a particular form that you have or a particular field on the form that you have set as required that seems to be spooking people? They're filling out a couple of the first fields and they are always dropping out on this particular one. I think that's pretty critical, and you can't get that from analytics.
That is way over my head.
Well, I'm looking at also back at, remember where I got all excited about Woopra?
Yeah, I was remembering that.
Yeah.
Remember that one.
Can we talk just briefly about the fact that LinkedIn now has some new analytics on their groups pages?
Sure. Tell me about it.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, what did I know? I think I knew it from you. I think you're the one who told me.
Right. So this, I believe, was last week. It's interesting what they've decided to do, but they've I believe it's all public facing. You can see this for any groups page, but essentially you go to the right hand side of any groups and it says, and you have to scroll down actually quite a ways. It says group statistics, and it has created these kind of neat infographic statistics about how many members, what the growth has been, what the activity's been on the page, where people are coming from, what their job function is. But I'm hoping that this means that they're going to have some additional analytics for group administrators on the back end, because it only gives you what it wants to give you. There's no way to, like you can on analytics, there's no way to change date ranges. There's no way to kind of customize this at all. It is what it is. So it's a nice little start. So I just think it's an interesting little feature they decided to roll out.
Well, it is interesting because that's really what I want, right? And that's what I find interesting about, Snoop and Woopra and the new Google Analytics, which I feel like they're sort of late to the game, is this, the real time stuff, right? Because I want to be able to go into Google Plus. And this is one of the things I like about Google Plus too. Have you seen the ripples feature?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is fascinating.
Somebody said that was based off Wave technology from Google Wave.
Yeah, I think it is, right? So if you go, I don't know how, I don't know exactly how that happens, but I'm looking for something that has a lot of shares on my home stream. The idea is there's a little down arrow to the top right corner of every post. And if you click on that little down arrow, you can find the link to the post, or you can report abuse, you can mute it, you can block the person, or you can view ripples. And ripples show you the real time, share activity of that post. So you can see who the initiator of the post, and you can see all the places that has shared throughout the Google Plus community, how it expands beyond its initial share, and all the circles that it has hit that are public. And you can zoom in and out of it in real time. That's what I want in my analytics data. Like, I want to be able to see not just, who arrived at my site, but I want to see who is using the content and where.
Do I have to activate that? Because I'm not seeing it on mine. All I have is report abuse, mute, and block.
Well, it only works on public posts.
Public posts.
So you got to find something that was shared
publicly,
either with you or publicly. So go to your mainstream and.
Oh, here it is. I knew I'd seen it before. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
It's very cool.
Can I tell you guys what I was thinking about yesterday? Dane it?
I feel like this is
Does it have to do with analytics?
You
Kind
can,
of.
Dane, but I don't know if
It
we're ever
does.
going to fit the alligator in the coffin.
Here's what I was mulling over, because it's so interesting when we start talking about this, and it's always so intriguing from a marketing perspective when you can dig in and get all of this data and real-time analytics, or and then take it to things like direct response advertising or online advertising, and the fact that we can have so much data relative to the money that we spend and how it's really coming back, like ROI or I don't know, whatever, like your key performance indicators that you can just get really sucked into it. And there's a lot of reason for that, to be able to justify your marketing budget and to really understand user behavior. And so we've been talking for quite a bit here about analytics and what we can know about how people are interacting with your website. And obviously this data does have relevancy beyond just being interesting. It should have actionable relevancy that, we can make adjustments and changes. And it's been this huge sea shift change, I guess, in the way that a lot of companies approach marketing and think about marketing and set their budgets and rely on reporting. But I also read recently, it was a few weeks ago, something about Domino's Pizza and their increase in revenue and profitability.
Oh, yeah.
Dating back to the ad campaign that started with their "We know our pizza sucks," and here are the commercials showing you the actual focus groups where people told us it sucked, and so we changed our pizza formula and now it's better. That whole campaign, if you date back to that point, and that was very branding oriented, is my point, and so I think I just was thinking a lot yesterday about how, I think these sorts of things we're talking about, particularly analytics and, and then, talking about paid search and that kind of thing. I think they're great in local advertising, online, location based advertising, and even social media. They're great for smaller companies. They're obviously great for every size company if you do them right. We've talked a lot about them, but there's certainly still a place for branding. And I think for such a long time, ad agencies were kind of very hesitant or reticent to have their clients think much about measurability, right, of ad campaigns. I think if they could approach a company and say, we've got this brilliant idea, or we've got this awesome logo, or we've got this, our creative team came up with this awesome commercial idea. And if the company says, wow, I love it. Wow, I just feel that's great. Go for it. And then everyone just feels good, and we don't measure necessarily. I mean, either sales at the end of the day go up or down, but we're not tracking it to the level that we're talking about. So we get into all of this analytics, capability, and you're getting into the minutia of what you can track and measure. And there's still, I just think it's going to be a long time before we balance out our approaches, I guess, and the importance of being able to track and measure versus kind of taking that leap of faith from a brand campaign concept and going through sort of a broad mass media approach, and the impact that still can have on a company. And Domino's is still just, to me, a crazy example. And I would even say Old Spice, which, their campaign had more to do with still some sort of new online and much more measurable, again, kind of applications, the whole, the social and the viral thing they did with, I can't remember his name now, but, the Wyden and Kennedy campaign that happened last year.
Isaiah Mustafa.
That guy. But that still was, again, kind of a leap of faith sort of branding concept, creative origin. And the bottom line is that's just from an advertiser's perspective, that's just far more interesting and sexy. And
it was generated from measurement, though. I'm sure they had a marketing problem, and that
one did blend things a little bit more.
They addressed it with a creative solution. And I think that's what branding and advertising is all about, is that you never know if it's going to work, but you do have to track its efficacy to figure out, And I think that's where these marketing problems are coming from, where they present the agency with a problem and they say, look, our numbers for this demographic are in the toilet. This is really where we want to be. What can you do to get us into this, into this demographic?
Well,
I see your point. I just don't, I think that there's room for both. Of
course there's room for both. That is my point, is that of course there's room for both. It's not one or the other. It's not,
right.
Oh, guys, did you know you could measure all this stuff? But don't do that.
But that's sort of the problem that people are, that I think a lot of particularly small and medium-sized businesses tend to get so focused on what you can do with the data and how you can specifically segment and target.
Do you really honestly think that small to medium-sized businesses are perseverating over that? Because I disagree. I think that they're too busy.
Have you been waiting to use that word? Did you check that word out before the show and you thought, I'm going to find?
No, and you know what? I actually don't even think it's a real word.
It is a real word. You are not making it up. You just got lucky.
I've looked it up, but I use it anyway. I've never been able to find a real disseveration.
Because I don't know who's perseverating. I kind of think that might not even be legal in Utah, from what I know.
It's a real word. Perseverate, to repeat or prolong an action, thought, or utterance after the stimulus that prompted it has ceased.
I'm so impressed.
And actually, the example is, God dang it, I'm totally perseverating on this.
That's a great example.
Origin, early 20th century.
Let me here. I got a little example for you guys. All right, this maybe is relevant, I hope. But I've got a client who. Thanks. I've got a client who has 100% of their marketing budget for a long time has been paid search, and we have weekly calls, and I'm managing all their paid search, and during certain times of the year last year, certain seasons, things would go up or down. And we'd have these weekly calls like, how do we get it back up? How do we get it back up? How do we reduce the cost per sale? And everything was just really like the data. And here are our keywords, and I'm doing everything I can within the paid search realm. And I'm feeding you this data, and we're measuring everything, and everything's a cost per sale, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm comparing year over year and coming up with, some seasonal trends and trying to analyze things. But I'm looking at these aberrations that occurred historically for them that, like, wow, geez, 2 years ago during the month of, September, you really had some dramatic sales increases, and, and I was just in the dark as to why. Well, it turns out, as I would bring that up, those were times that they ran TV in addition to other things they were doing.
Surprise, yeah.
Yeah, and so we finally kind of worked it out with them and this is what always bothers me about only doing a very small slice of a company's marketing, and you don't see the bigger picture of what's going on. You really need to get the full picture to be effective and to have things all work together, but. In this case, they finally kind of came clean about some things I didn't know they'd been doing.
That's funny.
So we worked out, how their paid search campaign, I would modify it. Like, I can modify it to be even more effective if you run TV, which obviously costs you more, but you're going to get an aggregate increase that's going to include phone sales, organic search website sales, and your paid search campaign, which always performs far better and at a lower cost per sale during periods that they're running a brand-oriented, TV campaign. And at the end of the day, it all pays for itself and it all, matches up. But if you it's like a table with 3 legs, but you pull away one of the legs, it doesn't stand as well. And so, yes, it all needs to work together, Megan, obviously. But I was just speaking to the propensity, I think, in terms of the evolution of companies and how they pursue or perceive marketing. I've seen it march toward a more analytic-based, response-oriented, ROI, KPI kind of a thinking, and away from branding. And ultimately, of course, it all has to come together, and we can't, you can't separate or divorce them. I think you have to find a way to have a really happy balance. But I think once upon a time that balance was heavily shifted towards branding and far less about direct response and measurability. I think marketing people promoted that. I think ad agencies promoted that. And I think today we're on the kind of the
I think it would be, I think it's a hard sell to put the to say that there's an active push toward this. I think the bigger problem is just the expense. And when you start looking at your budgets and you think, okay, it'll cost me X to get this.
Except, when I say an active push, I mean, I really believe there was a time, and maybe there still is, where people would actively push for not measuring.
Yes.
Because that's where I think the active push was. Yeah. Because like an ad agency, again, if I can sell you on a really cool creative concept, and if I think I have the ability to convince you as a client that we shouldn't measure the results of it, we should just call it good because you're happy with the campaign and the creative concept. A lot of ad agencies and marketing directors were happy with that because they didn't want to have to be accountable for the measured results of the campaign. They would far rather just say, great, the CEO loves the concept. Let's spend the money.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's what's been lost. And now we have this, we're in this space where it's so expensive to mount a print campaign, for example, particularly if you're in a sort of a niche, if you're in a particular professional field, project management, marketing, you're advertising to a known quantity. Doing a broad-based kind of branding push on television might not necessarily work, but if you have sort of a niche industry, you go to their print. I have 3 clients right now that are in exactly this space where you want to try and put an ad in the industry print publication, in the industry magazine, but forget it. It is extremely expensive to get that space, and when you say, I'm going to spend $3,000 for 1 month in this industry magazine to get a nice full page ad, or put that same $3,000 toward X number of impressions and start measuring activities, then it becomes an issue of justification and opportunity cost. And it's so much harder to get over that emotional discussion. And I think that's where we are. I mean, that's why it's such a big deal right now.
Yeah. And
wow, this is a deep discussion. It is like actually starting to hurt my brain.
No, come on. No, you're totally into this because you're in the same space, right? I mean, you're telling me that that's not happening, that there is no perseverating.
I'm not telling you that I'm not telling you it's not happening. I'm saying maybe there needs to be a differentiation between a small business and a medium business, because I think what small businesses are doing is sticking their head in the sand and saying, I know I should be looking at this, but I'm not. I'm far too busy to do that. Or they look at it and they don't have the knowledge to paint a full picture. And maybe that is what happens, Dane, with some of these businesses. Maybe it is a medium-sized business and they look at one measurement and start getting all, crazy about one particular measurement, but you can't just use one measurement. That makes no sense.
Well, you do and you don't have to separate, I think, the size of the business because on one level, I think that things like analytics, paid search, and social media have been fantastic and continue to be fantastic for small businesses who never were in a place really to measure. Maybe they'd save up their entire budget and didn't have much of a marketing budget to begin with, but save it up for, say, a display ad in a weekly or something like that, which are still, I'm not saying that isn't a good thing to do, but once you can approach marketing with less of an overall investment of money. There's obviously a time investment, but then you can measure it and you can justify it. As a small business, it's a fantastic thing, but I do think it sort of feeds into maybe it's just sort of a risk aversion, I suppose, of taking it to a next level where you can have something that's maybe more brand oriented complement your measurable activities or your more measurable activities. So it's probably more pervasive at a smaller business, but I certainly think even at at a much larger size businesses, the biggest ones generally have a pretty diverse marketing portfolio or campaign approach. But a lot of mid-sized businesses, I think once you speak to a decision maker or somebody who controls the budget with a story to tell from a data perspective, they want that. I've just been there before. I've seen it. And I've watched my entire budget over a period of time for a single company move from almost all, brand oriented activity towards completely measurable, almost 95% measurable cost per lead, cost per sale activities only, because I could bottom line those for the person who made, those key budget decisions.
Yeah.
And something's lost when you go all the way there.
Yep. Well, I mean, what do I know? Nothing.
You've been there too, Pete.
Well, I got to sit in the corner.
Anyway. So how
Dave's
about
on the roll today?
I know, he's all smart. What happened? Dane, you're there. It's like your computer's working. You don't have any problems with Skype right now, and suddenly you're cracking on all cylinders. I love it. We haven't had any blackouts.
It's because of our new
it's a good thing I'm not
our new expression that Dane doesn't like.
I know, right?
Oh,
our new nickname.
I've used it myself.
You have?
So smart. Of course I have.
Oh, Dane it.
Dane it all. But how about Google's new music service?
I was going to ask you guys about that.
Well, I could care less because I'm really infatuated with iTunes Match right now.
I want to talk about that too. Well, both of them. We got to talk about them both because there's a model. What do you think about the music? Have you signed up for the music service, Megan?
Nope, I have not. Didn't it just come out today or yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah.
I saw that it came out and I thought, wow, look, another music service that I'm just going to add that to the long list of music services I've not signed up for.
Well, there's finally some headway being made, isn't there? I mean,
somebody give me a benefit to signing up for Google Music over, like the other, like I said, 10 that I have not signed up for.
Wow.
Well, we can talk about, we can certainly talk about that. I mean, what's the context of the conversation, right? Because there's the utility of the service and how does it allow you to access your music and your music versus buy new music. And there's the, Dane and I got into this, what is it? We talked for an hour yesterday about the artist perspective. Like if you're an artist, where would you want to put in your music? I haven't really evaluated how.
Here's how we got started,
Megan.
So there was, I think, a very ridiculously premised article on Huffington Post from some guy who had never used iTunes' new Match service, and they're fairly similar. I don't know how similar they are, but you've got Amazon's music storage, whatever, and you can buy music through Amazon. And I know some people who just love it and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then iTunes Match was finally unleashed a couple of days ago. And so Pete and I have both now matched our entire music libraries, and we're very excited about that. We can upgrade, the quality of some of the tracks in there now, and it's kind of exciting. And then Google launched yesterday. So in a lot of ways, they're somewhat similar, right? They're sort of cloud-based, and they allow you to be kind of your single source of music that you've paid for. And even if you haven't paid for it, you can match it and have online storage and available on multiple devices. So it's a great thing. Anyway, this Huffington Post article was like, oh, this is a music pirate's dream. This is going to no one's going to pay for music anymore. And Pete and I got really heated about, why on earth would you jump to that conclusion? First of all, you've never used the service. And second of all, there's, particularly with iTunes, there's an annual fee to get this match that then is distributed to the artist. So in some cases, if you pirated it in the beginning or in the first place, now at least some money 5 years later is distributed to them, or, that kind of thing happens. But I also think just the actual experience and the convenience and how it sort of plays out, my initial response in using it was a desire to buy more music, actually. And that's a good
thing for them.
Yeah. And this guy was just like, oh, people are just going to, go to some Pirate Bay or whatever. I know it doesn't exist anymore, but they're going to download illegal tracks, and then they're just going to upload them, and it's going to seem like they've got the rubber stamp of approval by Apple, and no one's going to pay for music anymore.
Did you comment on the post, Jane?
No, because I hate commenting I read people's comments, but I don't like to create them on news sites. I don't know why, but I don't know. I almost did. I thought about it, but I read the comments and I thought, you know what? They've all hit it. Everybody hated the article as much as I did. Really, literally every single comment was a repudiation. So, but yeah, so it's just, I think, at some point you have to say, what does the consumer want? and then what does the artist need? And you've got to sort of match that without feeling like, and this is where Pete and I ended up, and when he's talking about context, is, what really makes sense for the artist. And there are so many ways for us to get music now that includes Spotify and iTunes and, going to the show, like a live concert, and buying a CD there, and how much, and Pete's got a whole breakdown of, what percentage does the artist get from any one of those purchases, or, where you're listening to that music. And I think, we just sort of ended up thinking, most people really, at least is just our perception, would love to see the greatest amount of money go to the artists themselves and not the intermediaries.
Exactly.
And more people than not would rather pay for their music and feel good about it than, pirate it for free. So, there is kind of, I think we ended up with CD Baby as a really phenomenal place to buy new music. And that it's fantastic to be able to then use a site like Google Plus or Amazon, or in our case, iTunes Match, to be able to then have access to it on all of your mobile devices without having to go through all the rigmarole.
That is nice. That might actually compel me.
It's interesting, and it's fantastic. So far, this is our, my first week with it, but I'm just in love with iTunes Match. Yeah,
I'm in big love. I'm in big love with it. I have actually rediscovered much of my music, and I've got. What are we talking about? Well, because my music library is large. I think it's large. I've got it is large. Figured 20 some odd thousand tracks of CDs that I ripped all my CDs when I was going through grad school, and I'd sit down and study, pop a CD in, but I ripped them at a very low kind of bit rate. Back then it was 96K or something like that. And so I've got all these tracks, and I can't, the library is too big for me to carry it around with me. And so, I have the playlist of whatever is current that I'm listening to. And so I carry that around. But you forget that there are, thousands and thousands of tracks that you used to like and that were important to you at one point, and you kind of forget them. And so now I sync with iTunes Match and upload the ones that iTunes Match doesn't have. And now when I turn on my phone, I see my entire library of 20,000 tracks. I see every track I've ever had, even the stuff I've created on my own, stuff that iTunes doesn't have, everything. And I hit play, and it takes just a second or two and starts to play as it downloads in the background. It's kind of a magical thing. So now I hit a playlist of tracks that I'm not actually carrying around. They download as they're playing, and I have music I haven't heard in, a decade that that was important to me. We were talking about, I had this, the Dada album, right? Puzzle was the best. It was the best.
Is she laughing?
I am laughing at me because it's a great CD, and it's all scratched now. I have it. I ripped it, and then it got scratched up, and so now I can't re-rip it. And now I just deleted it from my iTunes library on my computer, and I re-downloaded it, and now I have it at a pristine higher bit rate than I ever created of it, and I can listen to it on the go. It's fantastic.
And I'll tell you, as I look through my library, it's something. You and I talked, Pete, about how this is a little cumbersome to really do, certainly in one fell swoop, let alone like maybe I'll never get around to it much at all. But early on, when I first got iTunes and I started downloading my CD collection, which I'm moving right now, and it took me like 4 boxes to put all these old CDs, and I haven't bought a physical CD in quite some time. There's tons of them. And because of storage limitations, when I originally started doing this, I did everything at 128, and I did kilobytes per second. And in a lot of cases, my albums, I only did the best songs on the albums because I was so space limited. Now I'm not. And I'm looking at, like Pete's saying, you go back to some of this music you haven't listened to in a long time. And part of that for me, by the way, is that I have for years kept my iTunes library organized from date added. So when I search my library, I'm going from the newest track I added to the oldest. There's a lot of stuff at the bottom of that list I have not gotten to for a long time, unless it shows up on rotation in a smart playlist or something. So there's a lot of this music that I haven't gotten, haven't really looked at or listened to. I was doing some old Pink Floyd tracks the other night through iTunes Match I was doing it through the cloud, and just like, wow, I love these. I wish you were here. I was like in my bed alone, just the headphones on, listening to Wish You Were Here. It'd been forever since I've listened to it. I'm sort of testing out, how well it sort of downloads and goes track to track and, that kind of thing. It was just fantastic. But I've got whole sections of my music library that are at a lower quality than I want them to be and that are incomplete. So this will help me sort of round it all out and fatten it back up.
It's really, it's terrific. And you know what else? I mean, this is where we went with the thing, right? With that conversation yesterday we're talking about, and this is, the sources from, David McCandless, right? Put together this, infographic at informationisbeautiful.net. And it's all on digital royalties. And so, now we're talking about, benefit to the artist of where you buy your music, right? Or where, if you're an artist, where you sell your music. If you're an artist and you want to make minimum wage, which is at the time of this, infographic was $1,160 a month, right? For a solo artist, U.S. monthly minimum wage. He's going to need to press and sell at $9.99, 143 CDs. Okay. So 143 CDs, you make minimum wage each month. If you sell that same album through CD Baby, you have to sell 155 of those CDs. So a few more. So CD Baby, you go to cdbaby.com, you buy a CD from an artist, they're getting the highest cut, second only to getting it from the artist's hand at a concert. Retail album CD. So now you go to a higher end, royalty deal, sort of a retail, outlet. You need to sell 1,161. So almost a factor of, what is that? A factor of 8. Higher to sell through a retail. iTunes album download, you pay $10 for an album, 1,229 CDs or albums you need to have downloaded a month. So more and more and more. I mean, from 143 to 1,200 as you move online. Now, hopefully you're leveraging the discoverability of this new engine, through iTunes. And, there's a lot of traffic through iTunes. So hopefully you can get more people to buy your album. But that's where the pressure comes in. Now we skip a whole bunch of other download services. If you pay by the track at Amazon or iTunes, you need to sell 12,399 tracks at 99 cents each to make minimum wage every month. But if you go to the streaming services, we jump down to this whole other category. And if you're an artist and you want to make minimum wage on Rhapsody, you need to have 849,817 plays per month.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to do it on Last FM, you need to have 1,546,000 plays per month. If you want to do it on Spotify, you need to have 4,053,110 plays per month. So, I mean, I've got friends who are artists and artists that are working hard to make music their livelihood. And as a result of that, frankly, this is my little protest. I quit Spotify. I was on Spotify. I was a paying member of Spotify, and I quit because really I want my music and I want to be able to support the artists that are creating great music. I want to own it. I want to do right by these people that are doing good work. So that was that, I found that a really profound kind of an argument. When you look at it all sort of broken down like that, it makes these streaming services less compelling. That's all I have to say.
That was quite a rant.
That's all.
Are you even? You're not even here. You're. Where are you? Where are you? Where's your head? Are you okay?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Where's your head?
Are you feeling okay?
Wow, Dane's gonna sing for us.
It's been. I know it's been a long show. It's been a long show. We're a little bit late today.
It's all good. I'm just happy that Dane showed up, firing on all cylinders today.
All of them in a row.
Well, the later in the day we go, the more awake I am.
Apparently, seriously, Peter, we need to do more jammy marketers because
seriously,
Dane will be like on crack at climbing the ceiling.
I miss jammy marketers.
I miss jammy marketers, even though we only did it once.
I know.
It still was super fun.
So, did you brought up the Google Music thing? Did you have something else, or did we finish?
I don't believe I brought it up. I think Dane brought it up.
Well,
I
anyway,
did want to talk about it.
It was a big week for music. Big week for music. Big week.
Big week for music.
I'm actually scanning my iTunes library. I'm not confident that Google Music is going to be able to upload much of my music because it's all iTunes stuff, right? It's all the MP4s, and I don't think Google likes that very much. Google wants the MP3s.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
So I don't have a lot of faith in it, but it's all right. I'm not going to use it much anyway. I mean, it's not the service for me. It's the same thing as I think as iTunes Match essentially gets me. It's an ecosystem. You pick your ecosystem. That's the word of the day, ecosystem. Perseverate over your ecosystem.
Oh boy, that's the phrase of the month there.
Still like, oh, dang it. That's my phrase of the day.
I like perseverate over your ecosystem. That's total insanity.
You boys are funny.
Interesting.
I
think we're good.
Your audio quality is declining, Pete.
Mine
so
is?
maybe we should.
No, you still sound good. Well, you know what it is? Because I'm about to upload all my
he's going to get all of his. Yeah, he's going to get all of his tracks going at once. All 20,000.
I'm going to suck my bandwidth. So I'm sucking bandwidth today.
Perseverate over your bandwidth, suck.
This was
funny.
This was good. It was good to talk to you guys.
You too.
We'll do this again sometime.
Let's do it again.
All right.
All right, boys.
All right. It's a pleasure.
Later.